I'm 82 years old, and I finally understand why my father never told me he loved me. It took me this long, 8 decades, and he's been gone for 37 years. I used to think he was just cold. That's what I told myself for most of my life. My wife heard it. My kids heard it. Cold man, hard man, didn't know how to show affection. That was the story I carried, and I believed it because it was easier than the truth. The truth is harder to say out loud. My father worked in a rail yard outside Pittsburgh. He came home every night smelling like grease and metal, his hands stained black no matter how much he scrubbed them. He'd sit at the kitchen table, eat whatever my mother put in front of him, and then he'd go out to the garage. That's where he spent his evenings. Fixing things, building things. I'd hear him out there, the clink of tools, the low hum of a radio playing big band music. I wanted him to call me out there. I wanted him to say, "Come on, help me with this." But he never did. So I stayed inside, did my homework, listened to my mother talk about her day, and I told myself he didn't care. When I was 16, I got accepted to a state school a few hours away. Full ride. My mother cried. She hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. My father shook my hand. That was it. A handshake. Firm. Quick. And then he went back to his dinner. I left for college that fall feeling like I was walking away from a man who didn't really see me. I didn't come home much. Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas. I got busy. I had classes, a part-time job at a campus bookstore, a girlfriend who eventually became my wife. Life filled up fast, and every time I did come home, my father was the same. Quiet, steady. He'd ask me how school was going, and I'd give him the short version, and that would be that. I graduated, got a job in Philadelphia, got married, had 2 kids by the time I was 30. My father met them, held them when they were babies, but he didn't say much. He'd nod, smile a little, hand them back to my wife. And I'd think, there it is again. That distance. I became a different kind of father. I told my kids I loved them. I said it all the time. After dinner, before bed, when I dropped them off at school. I was determined not to be like him. I wanted them to know, without a doubt, that I cared. But here's the thing I didn't realize. I was busy too. I worked in sales. I traveled a lot. I was gone 3, sometimes 4 nights a week. I'd come home on Friday, exhausted, and spend the weekend catching up on sleep, mowing the lawn, fixing things around the house. I told my kids I loved them, sure, but I wasn't really there. I missed soccer games, school plays, parent-teacher conferences. My wife handled all of it. I'd call from a hotel in Cleveland or Charlotte and say, "Tell them I'm sorry. Tell them I'll make it up to them." And I meant it. I really did. But I didn't make it up to them. Because the next week, I'd be gone again. Years went by like that. My son graduated high school. My daughter went to college. I blinked, and they were adults. And I thought, well, I did okay. I provided for them. They know I love them. I didn't see it yet. My father got sick when I was 43. Lung cancer. He'd smoked his whole life. Those unfiltered cigarettes he bought by the carton. My mother called me, and I drove home that same day. He was in the hospital, hooked up to machines, his face gray and sunken. I sat by his bed. He looked at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw something in his eyes that I didn't recognize. Fear, maybe, or regret. He tried to talk, but his voice was barely there. I leaned in close. He said, "You turned out good." That was it. For words. And then he closed his eyes. He died 2 days later. I didn't cry at the funeral. I shook hands, accepted condolences, helped my mother with the arrangements. I went back to work the following week. Life moved on, but something stayed with me. Those 4 words. You turned out good. Not, I love you. Not, I'm proud of you. Just that. And I was angry about it for a long time. My kids grew up. My son moved to Denver, got married, had kids of his own. My daughter stayed closer, but she was busy with her career, her own life. I retired at 67. My wife and I had the house to ourselves. We traveled a little, took a cruise, visited the grandkids when we could, but I started to notice something. My son didn't call much, maybe once a month. Our conversations were short, surface level. How's the weather? How's mom? Yeah, we're good. Busy but good. My daughter came by more often, but even then, it felt like she was checking a box. An hour, maybe two, and then she'd say she had to get going. I told myself it was normal. They had their own lives. That's how it's supposed to be. But it didn't feel normal. My wife died 3 years ago. Heart attack. She was here one day, gone the next. No warning. No time to say anything. And suddenly, I was alone. The house got quiet. I'd sit at the kitchen table in the mornings, drinking coffee, and I'd realize I hadn't spoken out loud in 2 days. My son called after the funeral, said he'd try to visit soon. He didn't. My daughter came by once a month, maybe. She'd bring groceries, ask if I needed anything, and then leave. I started thinking about my father a lot. I started thinking about that garage, how he'd spend hours out there, alone, working on things that didn't really matter. And I realized something I should have seen decades ago. He wasn't avoiding me. He was doing what he thought he was supposed to do. He worked. He provided. He kept the house running, kept food on the table, kept us safe. That was love to him. Not words, not presents. Work. And I did the exact same thing. I told my kids I loved them, sure. But I was gone. I was always gone. I thought the words were enough. I thought saying it made up for not being there. It didn't. I look at my son now, and I see the same thing. He's busy. He's working. He's providing for his family. And I barely hear from him. And I get it now. He learned it from me, just like I learned it from my father. We pass it down without even realizing it. This idea that love is something you say or something you do in the background, but not something you show up for, not something you make time for. I thought I was different. I thought I was better, but I wasn't. I was just louder about it. My father never said he loved me because he didn't know how, and maybe because he thought I already knew. He thought the work was enough, the roof over my head, the food, the stability, and I never said it back because I was waiting for him to say it first. We were both waiting, and now he's gone, and my wife is gone, and my kids are busy, and I'm here, in this house, with all this time I thought I'd have. I don't blame my father anymore. I don't blame my kids, either. This is just what happens when you think you have more time. When you think tomorrow will be different. When you think providing is the same as being present. I wish I'd known earlier. I wish I'd put the work down sometimes. I wish I'd stayed home more. I wish I'd sat with my kids, really sat with them, and listened. Not just said the words, but meant them with my time. Because that's the thing about time. You think it's endless when you're young. You think you'll get another chance, another visit, another conversation. But you don't. One day, you're 43, and your father is dying, and he says 4 words, and that's all you get. And one day, you're 82, and your kids are busy, and you're sitting alone, and you realize you did the same thing he did. I'm not telling you this to make you feel sorry for me. I'm telling you because maybe you're in the middle of it right now. Maybe you're working late, telling yourself it's for your family. Maybe you're missing things, but you're planning to make it up later. Maybe you're waiting for the right time to say something, to do something, to show up. Don't wait. There's no right time. There's just time, and it runs out faster than you think. I finally understand my father. I understand why he never said it. I understand why he worked himself into the ground, why he stayed out in that garage, why he shook my hand instead of hugging me. He loved me. I know that now, but I didn't feel it then, and my kids loved me. I know they still do, but I don't think they felt it either. That's what I carry now. That's what I'll carry until I'm gone. Not anger, not bitterness, just the weight of understanding something too late. If this meant something to you, I hope you think about it. I hope you look at the people you love and ask yourself if they really know. Not because you told them, but because you showed them. I don't have much time left. Maybe a few years, if I'm lucky. But you might. Don't waste it the way I did.